Hello, welcome to this one-year retrospective review of the only video on my channel that matters. That's right, the only one with views, the Vortex Based Mathematics Debunked, the one from July 26th, 2019. Now, I'm going to just reminisce a little bit about how this got made and uploaded, then I'm going to watch through it, and then we're going to read the comments. So about this, this was in a stage in the summer of 2019 where I did not yet have a job. I knew that I wasn't teaching at the school that I had been teaching previously. I had been working at the same school from 2011 up through 2019. It was in another state. Its campus had moved further away. I had moved further away. And what started out as a normal commute became nearly double what it had been when I started working there. And the strain on me practically was just too high. So I knew I couldn't work there anymore. Didn't have anywhere to go after that. And one of the options I was exploring in that summer was maybe I can work from home, do something online. I didn't know how to do it. I just thought I better just try it instead of wondering about it, just do it. And, well, didn't work so well. One of the things that I attempted was to see how the YouTube game worked. Well, I lost that game, but here's one shot I managed to make. And what I was trying to do was just, take whatever experience, dare I say expertise I had from teaching math and apply it to a topic that I had discovered, namely Vortex Based Mathematics. And so, this is the product of some years of thinking about it, and I finally just went ahead and did something with it. I rigged up an old iPhone to be looking down at a piece of just printer paper and was just, working the math out and, according to a script, and did the voiceover for it later. The production of it was pretty difficult. I didn't know, am I going to be like a math channel? Am I going to be a music channel? I was hoping it could be musical, so I thought, I just need to make a video to put music to. Turns out, as you will see in the comments, the music was terrible, and nobody maybe one or two people liked it, but we'll see when we get to the comments. The music was not a good choice. But I had some sound issues uploading, but the details aren't that interesting. All that you need to know is that this production was so rushed and so poorly put together that I wish that I could have taken it down. Unfortunately, the stress of that summer trying to get a job, I neglected to check on this video for, I don't know, probably a couple weeks. And by the time that I got around to looking at it, it was my most viewed video. And I thought, I can't take this down. This is the only thing bringing me any attention. So, I made a stinker, and it's the only thing that people saw, so I had to just leave it up there to stink. I did try to redeem it by making a version with better audio linked in the description, but people keep coming to the bad one and complaining about the sound. I'm like, yeah, there's a better one, go watch that, but, the algorithm's bringing them here. Anyway, let's take a watch, and we'll see what treasures and surprises await us. That was really corny. I'm stupid. All right, let's get to it. Vortex-based mathematics is a form of numerology based on some idiosyncrasies of the decimal base 10 system. There is beauty in these patterns, but it's not what some make it out to be. So let's admire the beauty, but from a position of real understanding. First, arrange the non-zero digits in a circle like this. The pattern emerges through a cycle of doubling and calculating digital roots. So in this beginning section, the video is divided into thirds. I explain this illustration of vortex-based mathematics as completely, concisely, and as fairly as I possibly can. While I was teaching geometry sometime in, it must have been like 2013, 2014, something like that. While I was just looking for YouTube videos to show in geometry class, I came across something that was about circles and about angles. So I checked it out, and it was, it was a vortex-based mathematics video. Basically, the whole thing was just taking advantage of the nines trick, the divisibility rule, and making something out of that. It was just completely off the wall. Obviously, I didn't know much about it at the time. That's all I thought it was. It just had me fascinated ever since then, how that could have gotten any kind of popularity whatsoever. But I looked into it enough to be able to explain the vortex fairly so I could steelman it. The doubling is easy. Just multiply by 2, starting at 1. The proponents of vortex-based mathematics say that doubling is appropriate because of its significance in nature. Okay, this should be more than enough powers of 2. Now, we've got to calculate the digital roots. Finding a digital root is also simple. You need only add the digits of the number until you arrive at a single-digit answer. A single-digit number is its own digital root, like 1, 2, 4, and 8, but for larger numbers, the sum of their digit may be more than one digit, so you'd have to decompose that into a digital root again. Like 6 plus 4 is 10, that's a 2-digit number, so you'd have to add 1 and 0, so the digital root finally is 1. You do that until the result is 1 digit. Connect the digital roots as they occur in the circle. So we start at 1, go to 2, then to 4, then to 8. 16 would be the next number. However, since it's not on the circle, we need to use its digital root instead. So we connect 8 to 7. The digital root of 32 is 5, so we connect 7 to 5, and we can see this shape almost complete. After 5, we have 64. Its digital root is 1, so 5 connects back to 1. Once we return to 1, the cycle begins all over again, and this shape, or vortex, goes over and over for infinity. Now, I just do want to point out, I didn't actually prove that just now. I just established 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1, and then 1 would go to 2 again. That doesn't constitute a rigorous proof that that happens. However, I didn't feel the need to prove that because that was taken for granted by my target audience, namely people who believe in vortex-based mathematics. Just to make sure, let's look at the next number, 128. Also, I wasn't exactly sure how. This is a 3-digit number. Add up its digits, 1 plus 2 plus 8, you get 11. Now, 11 is a 2-digit number, so add its digits, 1 plus 1, that's 2. As you can see, there are some numbers that were not included. These numbers, 3, 6, and 9, are considered very special, so let's start with 3, and let's start to double. 3, 6, 12. Now, you'll note that because 6 is double 3, the doubling of 6 is also in this list, so we're really doing both of them at the same time. 3 is only different because it contains 3, but 6 doesn't. Right, so 3, 6, 12, the next number there should be 24. Okay, considering their digital roots, 3 and 6 are single-digit numbers. They have their own digital root. But then there's 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 4 is 6. So 3 and 6, when you double them, are going to bounce back and forth between each other forever. Bear in mind, at this stage, I'm not proving or explaining why this happens. I'm just establishing that it happens. Ever going to escape that? Remember, 6 is double of 3 already, so the doubling of 3 contains all of doubling 6 within it, except it also has 3. This is one of my favorite tricks in solving mathematical problems, is when you have 2 problems to solve, but solving one of them solves the other one for free. I love that. We haven't touched 9 yet. Now, maybe you remember the 9 trick from school. Whenever you add the digits of any multiple of 9 together, you always get 9 or one of its multiples. We're going to see that play out right here. 9, 18, 36. This is what you get when you start at 9 and then you begin to double. 9 is a single digit number. It is its own digital root. I think I got some comments that I write the number 9 weird. I don't know. I was homeschooled for the first 4 years of school. I learned to write my digits at home. I don't know what to say. I think it is a bit weird that like a math teacher would write their numbers weird. It would be like if an English teacher had a weird way of pronouncing common words, but 1 plus 8 is 9. 3 plus 6 is 9. 7 plus 2 is 9. All of the multiples of 9 have a digital root of 9. There are applications and interpretations to the universe that proponents of vortex-based mathematics... To anyone who is on the vortex-based mathematics side, I implore you, if I got something wrong in that section, I absolutely need to know it, because 1, if I got something wrong, that means I don't know what I'm talking about. 2, everything that I do after this assumes that that was all correct. However, I don't think anything that I just did was controversial. Now, granted, there's way more to vortex-based mathematics than that, but that is the extent of the evidence for vortex-based mathematics that I'm addressing. Just the fact that that 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1 cycle happens, and that 3, 6, and 9 are outside of it, and that 9 is by itself and unique. Just that. If that is evidence for vortex-based mathematics, according to you, then according to me, actually it's not, because there is an explanation coming up for why that happens. It has nothing to do with energy or magnetism or vortexes. And in fact, it is the result of a game that I know how to play. And I can play it, get different numbers. So if there's something special about the universe involving 3, 6, and 9, it has absolutely nothing to do with this diagram. However, if there is something about the universe that makes these numbers come up, it also makes the numbers that I found come up. And 3, 6, and 9 are just one group out of infinitely many groups. And 1 out of infinity isn't special. May go into divine stuff, scientific stuff, but this is just the mathematics. I think it's really important to go through this because, 1, I want to educate you and the audience if you haven't heard of this, but also because I want to show the people who believe this stuff, who really believe it, that I really do understand it. I'm not debunking a straw man. I'm so dramatic. Anyway, I can be pretty annoying. But also, as a person with a genuine love for mathematics, I want to appeal to them on that level. I recognize a love for mathematics in the people who tout this. This stuff is beautiful. But when I say that vortex-based mathematics is wrong, I'm not saying that the people who believe in it are stupid or bad. I want to affirm their love for numbers and guide them to a position of love, but love with understanding. All right, that's all I'm after here. Okay. I'm so sorry. Now that I've explained what vortex-based mathematics is, let's talk about what makes it work. First, the 3, 6, 9 group. 9 is only special because adding 9 doesn't change a digital root. There's nothing special or mysterious about 9. This is just a property of the decimal base 10 system. There are only 9 digital roots to choose from here, so if you start at 9 and then move 9 around the circle, you end up exactly where you started. It doesn't matter where you start from, but the multiples of 9 start at 9 and are trapped there forever. Every third multiple of 3 and 6 is also a multiple of 9 because 3 is the square root of 9 and 3 is a factor of 6. But if you start at 3 and double it, you're never going to multiply it by 3. So 3 and 6 are outside of the normal doubling cycle, not quite in the 9 one because they don't have a second 3 as their factor. That's why. I can recall precisely when I had these realizations. I was shopping with my wife. Basically, I was just being a good husband. Really, my wife was shopping and I was with her. And while I was just trying to pass the time in my head, I was thinking about these divisibility rules. I was trying to figure out why the 9 rule worked. And it just occurred to me, plus 9 is just plus 10 minus 1. So increase the tens place, decrease the ones place. The digital root remains the same. It's conserved, plus 1 minus 1. Anyway, there's that. Again, there's nothing special or mysterious about 9. When you add 9, you're just adding 10 and subtracting 1. So you increase the tens place by 1, you decrease the ones place by 1, the digital root stays the same, plus 1 minus 1. You can't change a digital root just by adding 9. It's impossible. Okay, next. Let's talk about the vortex, the 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1 repeating loop. Once again, this is just a coincidental feature of the base 10 decimal system. If we were using a different base, this wouldn't necessarily work. A power of 2 is the second highest digit in base 10, or at least the digital root of a power of 2 is the second highest. This was something that I didn't realize until I started making the case. I knew about 9. I didn't know about 8. So this was a surprise for me. I was really pleased to learn about it because it was just so cool. Highest digit. It matters for 2 reasons. First, because it makes them symmetric, and that's going to matter later. But for the other reason, we're going to need to go through them. So let's start. 1 doubles to 2. That's going to start us at 1 and then move us 1 space. I'm noting here how many spaces we're moving. 1 space clockwise. Now we're beginning again at 2. 2 gets doubled, results in 4. That is moving clockwise a total of 2 spaces. So we'll draw that in and you can see this path widening out. Move 1, then move 2. If we just move 2, we're going to need to move 4 spaces from 4 to 8. So we draw that in. Now that we are now at the highest power of 2, the second highest digit, something interesting is going to happen because after moving 1 and then 2 and then 4, we should be moving a total of 8 spaces. But we can't get up to 16, so we end up at the digital root of 16, but it's like we took 1 step in the other direction. This is another trick for solving complex mathematical problems. Whenever something complicated happens, but it has the same result as this simpler thing, as long as they are guaranteed to have the same result, you can stop referring to it as the complicated thing and just say it's like this simple thing. So rather than me taking you through the complicated steps, let's just remember that this simple thing gives you the same result. Here's what the simple thing gives you. the complicated one would have given you this too. I don't know if I explained that very well, but two different processes with equivalent results, you don't need them to actually be the same. You just need the result to be the same, because if you're trying to come up with the result, whatever the easy one does, you can trust the hard one would have done it. Instead of going up 8, it's almost like we went down 1. Why did that happen? It happened because 8 is 1 less than the total number of spaces on this circle. If we had gone around by 9, we would have gone all the way around. But because we went around by 1 less than 9, we ended up failing to reach our original starting point, and so we ended up 1 behind. Go the next step. 2 8s is going to result in 2 steps back. So it's going to take us from 7 to 5. Do you see the symmetry now? The 1 and the 8 are symmetric, but the 2 and the 7 are symmetric. So just like we went from 1 to 2, we went from 8 to 7. From 7 down to 5, just like we went to 2 to 4. This is one of my favorite features of exponential trends, is that the difference between consecutive terms is one of the terms. From 1 to 2, it's 1. From 2 to 4, it's 2. I think that is so cool, and that's one of the reasons why just the fact that there is such a thing as the natural number e is so mind-blowing to me. There's an exercise that I've done in, it was in a pre-calc class where we were talking about exponents and logarithms, and basically the subject was the natural number. Now, the natural number is between 2 and 3. So what I was able to get was basically a pre-calculus approximation of the derivative for 2 to the x was always below the value. A pre-calc approximation of the derivative of 3 to the x was always above the value. And so I was able to kind of get the students to understand, look, 2 was below itself, 3 was above itself. There must be some number between 2 and 3 whose derivative is equal to its value. And anyway, I was basically just trying to plant a little math bomb that would go off when they were in calculus and they learned that the derivative of e to the x was e to the x. The next move is going to have to be 32, which is a total of 4 8s, which means 4 spaces back, counterclockwise. This is going to land us back on 1. This cycle will continue, but it has nothing to do with vortexes in nature. It has nothing to do with some kind of divine design of the universe. It has everything to do with the fact that we're using a base 10 decimal number system, and that a digital root of a power of 2 is the second highest digit. So moving around that much brings us 1 back because it is a cycle. That's the whole reason that this works, okay? It is a lengthening move in the clockwise direction and then a lengthening move in the counterclockwise direction. That's all that's happening here. Okay, so we figured out how the vortex works. We know the rules. Now we're going to play this again, but with a new base. Here's what it needs to have. 1 less than the base, the highest digit, must be the square of an odd number. It must be an odd square, just like 9. So I'm moving into a new chapter. I said I had 3 sections. One was I explain what vortex-based mathematics was, or at least explain this graphical defense of it. Then I explain the real mathematical mechanics behind this graphic, basically derive the rules of vortexes from this example, and then I play the game myself, but with different numbers. The idea being, first let me investigate the graphic to see what's up. Turns out it's nothing, but let's just assume it is something. What are the implications of it? And it doesn't lead you to 3, 6, and 9. It leads you to odd squares that are one larger than a power of 2, or a number whose digital root is a power of 2. That's what it leads you to. 3, 6, and 9 are not special. 9 just happens to be the smallest odd square. I'm going to go through the rules, and then we get all heavy metal. Is the square of 3 in the decimal system. The second highest digit, the base minus 2, just like 8 was the digital root of a power of 2. In this new system, the second highest digit needs to be the digital root of the power of 2. Lastly, it needs to have some kind of numerological significance so that it can take the place of vortex-based mathematics. The number we're going to use is 26. It follows all the rules. The highest digit would be for the number 25, which is 5 squared. And, believe it or not, in base 26, 24 is the digital root of a power of 2. In order to do this, we're going to need to know how to change bases. I had to program a base converter in a spreadsheet to be able to explore this. It was, oh my gosh, what an undertaking. There is, just a simple function to change a number into a different base, but I needed to be able to investigate patterns in different bases. So I needed to basically just program the whole thing from scratch in Google Sheets. It was actually a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. See, this is the kind of person I am. I programmed a base converter in Google Sheets, and it was fun. There's no hope for me. I'm going to go through that in the next screen, and while you watch that, I want to tell you something, okay? So, I've tried to debunk this one way. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, when I first saw Vortex-Based Mathematics, I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy and kooky. Pseudoscience jargon, whatever. Okay. Now, when I looked more into it, the kind of crowd that I saw interested in vortex-based mathematics was also interested in flat Earth. It was kind of the crowd that kind of hangs out on Gab. And so my experience with flat Earth was that it was uber fundamentalist Christians, so totally anti-science and radical that they were reading flat Earth and believing it in the Bible. Now, I'm a Christian myself, but that far out on the limb of fundamentalism is just as foreign and alien to me as it is to the random person on the street, maybe not even a Christian. So I'm thinking, how can I get under the skin of these vortex-based mathematics guys? I'm like, oh, I know, if they're all really fundamentalist Christians, I'll put a pentagram in there. That'll really irritate them. I was totally wrong about the demographics of vortex-based mathematics, because it's based in Vedic. There's this Eastern tradition of mathematics that has these. So I got the demographics completely wrong. Second, I got the pentagram completely wrong, because I grew up Christian. I just always assumed pentagrams the devil, but apparently it's a very historic and richly symbolic image that has had meaning in Christianity. It's had meaning in all kinds of faiths. So, like, I totally screwed this up so bad. But it was at the end, and it was kind of fun. So I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, I totally screwed this up, and I'll just admit it, because it's mostly about the math. I was trying to get under some skin, but apparently I'm just a moron. To educate you about the mathematics, to explain that there's nothing special about 3, 6, or 9. The vortex pattern is a coincidence you get because you're doubling in a set of numbers where 8 is the second highest. That there is no I honestly wonder how many people like actually watched this part, paid attention to it. Because this is really hard. Transcendent meaning or significance at all. But some of you may not buy that. You may accept the math, even celebrate it, and say this just deepens your understanding of vortex-based mathematics and makes you even more amazed by its divine significance. Then this one is for you. See, I know why the vortex works. And that means that I can play the game. That's all numerology is, a game. And I can play it too. If you think you found a deep, transcendent meaning in vortex-based mathematics, I'm going to blow your mind. You've only been scratching the surface. This goes way deeper than I think you're prepared to accept. And I can show you that if you are doing vortex-based math for real, you're an occultist, a Satanist. And if you can't handle that, then you need to get away from the vortex, because it's more than you're prepared to handle. All right. That was fun. Oh.